Yes, how do I... Hold on. I gotta find the faces. Wait, how do I get... Oh, there they are.
Contact is the season.
All right, we're live.
Oh.
We're
Hello,
live.
hello, Internet. Welcome.
Hello.
And we're snotting everywhere.
Yeah,
That's right. We
allergy
are.
season is in full swing.
Yes, it is. Does someone want to introduce the show and tell people maybe where they are today and what they're watching or listening to, depending?
Or where they are. I'm sorry.
Well, I don't know where they are, but Sarah, you tell them where we are.
We are up for a challenge, a program that each week we do challenges ourselves. You can give us a challenge. It could be group challenge. We just try to go outside our comfort zone, try to learn something new, try to push the envelope.
Because if you're not growing, you're dying.
It must be really hard to be an envelope. No one accepts you as you are. They keep pushing you to
Get
be new
smacked
things, to
around
be
all the
different.
time.
Sounds kind of sexy to be an envelope.
A little bit. You get licked and you get stamped.
No,
and
you get licked by strangers and you get a tramp stamp.
And every now and then you cut a bitch. a non-gender specific bitch, either gender, multiple genders.
Sometimes,
See, I'm glad you
genders.
dug
Sometimes-
yourself out of that hole.
sometimes
Right.
there's a present from Grandma.
Denial. Yeah.
No?
No, I was just thinking of
no.
all the places not to take that joke.
And I saw it on your face,
Yeah.
which I could see because your hair's back.
Which reminds me, if you're listening to the audio-only version, come check out the video version on our YouTube channel, and you can see me make faces like this, or this, or even like this.
Oh.
Bright light.
Also, if you have a challenge for us, you should follow us on Twitter, assembler.fm, hashtag U, the letter U, 4, the number 4, and C, the letter C. So U4C. Give us a challenge.
That's right. That's the easiest way for us, before the show starts, to search to see if anything's happening, and it kind of lets us know that you're around. I don't know if there's apparently a live chat feature on Google Hangouts, and I haven't figured it out for the life of me. So
You're not in your
Yeah.
cubby this week.
I'm not in my cubby this week. I decided, number one, since we're a video show, I should be somewhere where there's light, and number two, this has a camera. This iMac has a camera attached to it, and the old Mac Pro doesn't. So I said, well, okay. One of my favorite games, since not enough people are really using the U4C hashtag yet, is I like to search for it and see what it is. And apparently, we are also the hashtag for legalizing medical marijuana.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. I see ballpoint pens. I see something in French. I hope it's not some sort of riot. And yeah, so at the very least, if you're not going to use the hashtag, you should really go and just search for it and just see what we've decided to accidentally align ourselves with in the world by using that hashtag. I think that's kind of fun.
It says you're in HD now.
Oh, well, that's because
Sorry, I'm
not on my telephone anymore. I'm using a proper camera. So what's been going on in people's lives this week, and what's keeping everybody busy?
Yeah.
I was in Memorial Day traffic before the afternoon show. But I got to spend some time with my family, which was really great. I went to a little market that's down Broadway, and there used to be 25 vendors, and now there's 200, and so there's a lot of artists, freshly grown stuff. This woman who makes homemade cheese straws. I bought a lot of cheese straws.
I will not judge. What about you, Adam? What's going on?
Let's see here. We are here in Lexington. We are in orientation mode with all of our summer interns that have come in. And so we've had about 3 days with them, although I haven't had a lot of time with them because I've been on the road mostly finishing up our Storybox Theater, which is going into libraries and Head Start programs. And you put some... you put a book and you put some interactive elements in a box, and it's sort of a 30-minute contained lesson plan, and you play it out with the kids, and then once you're done, you leave all the stuff there with them, and then they can replay and interact with it as much as they choose. And
Neat.
So it's a really fun program, and we're still piloting it, trying to wrap our brains around how to kind of blow it up and expand it. And so But I think we've got a handle on it now, and so now we just got to refine a couple of things, and then it's gonna blow up next fall. It's gonna be everywhere. Look out! Look out, Eastern Kentucky. We're coming for you.
Coming for you. I applied for an international touring program. Sent my application in. Cool. So that's fun. Yeah, I would tour around Europe for 2 months if I get it. But I've sent it all in now, so now I can let it go, and whatever happens, happens.
Yeah. And honestly, you're applying for things. I've also applied for 2 jobs, and I applied for them a while ago, and I kind of, it's that thing where you kind of throw something to the wind, and then it has to, I'm sure, process through HRs and this and that and the other, and you kind of forget about them, and it's interesting that about 5 days ago, sometime earlier this week, maybe Monday, Tuesday, I finally just went, forget about them. Like, I'm not going to worry about them anymore. And once I kind of released and relaxed, then I started getting a response from it. Was like, once I finally let it go and stopped being so invested and sort of angsty about waiting for it, all of a sudden, just all of this stuff started happening, and offers and positive things. And it was just like, once I finally relaxed, good things started happening.
Isn't the universe funny like that?
Yeah.
Chill the fuck out.
Right. It's when you don't need it that it's like, oh, there you go. Here's some stuff. And it's when you're sitting up all night and you're like, oh, I gotta get that. It's like, nope.
Yeah.
Not gonna put nothing in there. You'd break it. Yeah. I'll take that. I'll go with that.
Yeah.
It's weird to do the show in the evening because I feel like we're all winding down instead of like amping up. So we're all like,
I kind of feel that too. Yeah. there is a sense of that. Yeah. Because I'm so used to being kind of all wound up because, it's, just gotten out of bed and I've had that first cup of coffee and now I'm on the other end of it. And I feel like, we've all got this kind of very chillax sort of,
I could take a nap on air right now and hold on.
That's exciting radio programming, everyone, when we can all go to
This show brought to you by sound effects by Sara, Jef, and Adam.
Cool.
Well, I've had a fairly eventful week, although not necessarily in the way I expected with the challenge. So I can talk about that now, or we can keep jabbing. Whatever's going to wake everybody up.
I think you should wake us up. Wake us up with your adventures this week, Jef.
Okay. All right. So if you are not familiar with the show, we do a challenge every week. And last week, my challenge, let me see if I can re-articulate it. My challenge was to go out into the world, and the requirement was to ask 7 people, so 1 per day, to make a decision for me. Preferably kind of a non-life-threatening, non-financial destructive decision, with the hopes that it would be something fun and sort of a Sarah phrase that I think is a choose-your-own adventure. And I was really looking forward to that. And I really kind of wish I had a big failure sound effect that I could play that was like, because I feel like I freaking failed at what the actual challenge was. And that gave me a lot of time to reflect on some things, and it once again is making me put sort of my priorities in check and my life in check. So when I got the first pangs of I might be going to completely flunk out on this challenge was when I realized, I forget when it was, but a couple days into the challenge, I realized I hadn't actually applied the challenge anywhere in my day, in my life, or anything. And Scott, our mutual friend Scott, texted me and was like, so how's the challenge going? Just out of the blue, being nice. Yeah. And I was like, and it was 11:30 at night. So I realized I could still get 1 in for the day if I got Scott to challenge me for something. And I know we were trying to get me to talk to people I don't know, but one of the things I realized is I don't have many engagements with people I don't know where that opportunity seemed to present itself in any kind of way that I could make sense of in the moment, or I just wasn't ready for it. So anyway.
Well, I feel like in the past week that we were more confined to the house because of things outside of our control.
Yeah, my calendar looks pretty nuts when I went back and looked at it this week, which is part of what I want to talk about.
Yeah.
So I said, Scott, I'm failing this challenge. I need something. This is your chance, buddy. Whatever it is, you've got 30 minutes. Whatever I can do in between now and midnight, make happen. And Scott said, all right. Listen, here's what I want. I want you to sit down and work on Cricket for the next 2 hours or hour or whatever you can do. And I said, and Cricket is a comic that I wrote a long time ago, and I'm trying to write a second one, and it's been stalled for 4 or 5 years. I don't know how long, but too long. It's one of those projects that really eats at me. It's one of those things that really bothers me. It's one of those personal whatever failure points. And so him telling me to do that, it was kind of awesome because it was like, oh yeah, this is great because I have an excuse, right? I have a reason that this is my job now. My job is to do this thing, right? Okay, so great. So I'm so excited. I'm gonna work on Cricket and I'm gonna write the story, and I'm so excited. So what do? Of course, I turn on the TV and I pull out my guitar and I start writing songs.
What?
And I start working on songs that have nothing to do with Cricket, that have nothing to do with any of that stuff. But I think what I was trying to do was set myself up to just chill out, to just relax and put myself in some position, or I'm just terrible at doing what I'm told. So I do that for 15 minutes, half an hour, so maybe I don't meet my challenge for the day or whatever. But then I'm chill, and enough stuff has sunk in, and it's midnight now, and all the lights are out, and the cats are actually quiet. And so I set my laptop up on the kitchen table, which is my favorite place to actually do any kind of work that requires concentration, right? Mm-hmm. And I crack open the laptop, and I open OmniOutliner, which is the program that I've kept all of my plot notes in, my active writing skeleton in, and I open Evernote, which has just tons and tons and tons and tons of research in it. And then I realized there was something I didn't know. I didn't know enough about soap in 1942. How easy was it to access soap? And it was critical to the plot. And so I go down this little rabbit hole, and I'm saving articles into my Evernote, and then I open up Scrivener, which is the program I actually do the writing part in. And I go through what's already been written, and I start adjusting plot points and whatever. I don't end up writing any actual new dialogue. I don't end up writing any actual new scenes, but it has been now on my mind every day this week since. And so now, kind of like when you learn a new word and suddenly it's everywhere, I have that tickle of rolling ideas for the plot, and I am just dying to get back into Scrivener, into OmniOutliner, and apply those and actually make those into concrete scenes. But this whole week insanely got away from me, which is neither here nor there, except to say that's part of the context of the challenge. So
yeah.
Well, my question is, would you like to extend the challenge?
I don't know. Let me keep going, and okay. We'll see. Or a try. I might like a mulligan. I might like to try over.
All right.
But we'll see.
Out
we'll
the
see.
little golf scorecard.
Right.
Writing in mulligan. Got it.
Okay. So, so it was another one of these nights when I realized Sarah was out of town, and I was again by myself, and I was realizing I haven't really done anything to further my challenge this week, and I was in this crazy itchy place where I was just I'm home, but I really want to go out and get a cup of coffee, but I shouldn't spend money and drive half an hour to go get a cup of coffee when the place is going to close in 30 minutes or whatever. And so I open up my phone and I text DB, because I realized everyone else I've had 2 recent communications with. So it's I haven't really talked to DB, David Brett, in a while. Yeah. And so I'm hey, okay, look, I need to know, should I go out and get a cup of coffee or should I stay home? And yes, this is part of my challenge, and hurry up and answer. And I don't get a response. Now, to his credit, it's not like he was taking long. I was just impatient. So I look at my cat, and I ask my cat, and I say, Cat, I am going to put out my left hand and my right hand. And whichever hand you choose is the decision I will go with. Left hand, I get coffee. Right hand, I don't. Here you go. And the cat put his nose on my left hand, which means, yes, I can get coffee. And then ding, ding, DB texts me and says, stay home, you caffeine junkie. And I said, oh, I technically asked you first. And so I did stay home that night and made coffee. And I put a picture of that little text message up on Instagram because I thought it was pretty funny. So I did that, and anyway, I kept coming back to ideas of control this week, and that I'm not super great at giving it up, and I really would like to. But it's funny because things that were on TV, Hoarders, came on TV while this was happening, and I tried to watch RoboCop, again, a story that has something to do with feeling out of control.
The new one.
Yeah, and it was terrible. It was just awful. It was just awful.
I still haven't seen it.
I made minor progress in terms of technology in that I tried to use this app called Buffer. And Buffer is a thing that schedules social media posts for you. It's kind of like Hootsuite, which would do the same thing, except Buffer, you don't choose the time. Buffer will choose it for you. So I let go a little bit there. But that's a cop-out. And I'm disappointed because my challenge literally had the word adventure in it, and I feel like I didn't choose to go on an adventure. I just sort of had this crazy thing where I remembered I had the challenge, and I never really got to go on it the way I wanted to.
Sure.
So
But again, maybe, I mean, because you're saying you didn't get to go on it on the way that you wanted to. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I can, I can commiserate and relate to that idea of failing at the challenge, because even with with the Periscope, when it got towards the end of the week, those last 3 days, I kind of felt like I explained part of the reason why some of my live streams were so short, because I was at home, I didn't have Wi-Fi, but I kind of felt like I was kind of just checking off a box so I could satisfy the requirement. I felt very proud the first 3 or 4 days in terms of what I was generating, and then I kind of felt like, well, I have to stick to this challenge, and I have to fulfill the requirements of this challenge. Hell, I applaud you for the creativity with the going to the cat. That's great. But again,
someone had to choose.
But but again, just the journey still triggered other thought processes. It sent you chasing the sort of cricket thread for a little bit. Curious, was soap an easy thing to get a hold of? Was it all that lye-based stuff in the 1930s, 40s? What is this? Yeah, I'm curious.
Oh, God,
I want to know more of soap.
I believe it was one of detergent soap specifically was one of the things that was rationed. I was having a really hard time finding out about just hand soap, and it was in the same place. Are people still making it? Were people being industrious and deciding, well, we need to make it? But what I did find out was really great. What I found out was that the point where I want to set my story, which is the summer of 42, versus the point where the last story was, which was in the end of the year of 1941, before Pearl Harbor. What I hadn't understood emotionally was how Pearl Harbor had changed everything so drastically. I mean, yes, it's the thing that got us in the war. Yes, we all know the intellectual, historical stuff. But, and I don't want to make 9/11 comparisons or those kinds of things, except to say that there was your world before and there was your world after. And I don't know how Americans felt emotionally about Pearl Harbor, but what I can say is that their day-to-day life before Pearl Harbor and after were very different, because that's when the programs got hardcore about rationing, and that's when everything suddenly just kicked in. And I love the fact that now I have this character that I made all these assumptions about, and now I have to make sure that character is reacting to the realities of his whole world, and everyone's whole world just got flipped on its head. And I have some degree, I feel like, of empathy for that, just being alive in 2001. I'm like, oh, okay, the circumstances are different, but I get it. I get the feeling of things were this way, and now they're this way, and it's not just a change in my life, it's a change in everyone's daily lives. And so that was exciting just to dig into. So I think I can justify what I'm trying to do with soap as a plot point in the story and its scarcity based on how fundamentally things changed.
Right.
If that answers your question.
It does. Check off that box. I'm all about lists. I'm doing lists today, I guess.
Nice. Well, does anyone have a challenge for the next week?
Well, before we get to that, by the way, speaking of checking off boxes, I think we said that we were going to do 2 more of these for this session, season, whatever, right? Before we maybe would take a little break.
I think 6. Yeah, 6 was the benchmark. I don't know. I think you said 5, and I was like 6. It's an even number, so I'm saying 6. But 6, and then we evaluate and take stock and figure it out.
Yeah. So there we go. So 2 more of these, and then we'll find out what happens next. But Sarah, go ahead. I think let's throw it back over to you. I think it's a good time to talk about challenges.
No, I don't have. I have not come up with a challenge.
Oh, I thought you two had decided on one. I have planned nothing. It's my last day of the challenge. I make no decision about what the challenge.
No, because we decided. I don't know.
I thought you two had planned one. Oh, this is gonna suck.
No. Wait. No, we can. Hold up. Wait. Sorry. I'm in the dark
your lights
now.
just go out?
The lights went out. Yeah. So
That's the day that the lights went out on Adam.
Every day, man. Every day. No. We can figure this out. No. We were talking on the phone.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you, Jeff, and maybe you can help us craft it based on where the seed of this started.
There it is.
Okay.
Yeah.
Go for it. You do it.
What, me?
Yeah, were you saying?
You were the two talking on the
No,
phone. It wasn't me.
No, I was saying I was vaguely remembering that we had a phone conversation, but I'm in no place to try and reiterate what we had come up with.
Here's where it started. Here's where our conversation started, Jeff. And again, this was specifically talking about you.
I'm sorry. I'm hard to take you seriously in the dark. Go ahead.
All right. Well, I can make the lights come back on.
No. This is hilarious. Go ahead.
It's good.
Sorry.
Oh, there we go.
We should all-
They're on. They're on. Apparently,
that
I
was
moved back far
godly
enough.
of you.
Okay.
Oh.
Again, the step into the light joke works now too. Yeah. But anyway, so we started with talking about you because again, we were trying to figure out what the challenge for you was, and we started with that phrase that I know you love so much, Jeff. Here's what you should do. Here's what you, yeah. And so that's where we started, and then we got to the challenge that we eventually gave you. But it was the, I don't know. It was the contrast, or it was the and I'm losing the words now because I didn't review before we came back. But it's the difference between what you should do and what you must do. And I think the difference is the should is always coming from an external source. You know, it's somebody offering advice, whether it's wanted or unwanted. It's a parent, it's a teacher. Here's what you should do to be successful at this, as opposed to the must is something that comes from within. It's internally driven, right?
Yeah.
And so I don't know. So there was this sort of philosophical debate in my brain that didn't get beyond the should and the must. And again, I couldn't quite figure out how to craft that into a challenge. But that's where I landed.
We were talking about how in everyday ways that we could give up control of something. Like when we could all say, all right, I'm not gonna lead this time, or because I feel like, I don't know, we have this conversation a lot of, you know what you should do, on both sides, and it's funny when we call each other out on it, but I feel like people who are saying, you know what you should do, are always coming from a place of trying to help in a way, and they don't necessarily, even if like their help isn't wanted, you know what I mean? But I feel like, what happens if you do it their way? Just if you say,
well, let me tell you what
okay.
you should do.
Well, that's what we asked, Jeff, is what we should do, and then you said you didn't think of anything. So,
well, I wonder if there's a way to try a not offering advice. I don't know if this is a problem for anybody besides me, but just listening to somebody, and then rather than offering a suggestion of how to help someone, do something else.
Okay.
Well, so then instead of offering advice, you ask them what they want?
I don't think we ask them. I think we just listen. And maybe and then to initiate whatever that next part of the exchange is, I have a friend, and the lights just went out again. I have a friend that always prefaces opinions and offers of advice with, I have an opinion if you'd like to hear it.
So we could try that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So the challenge is for all of us to listen more than we talk. And if it's a situation where somebody is talking to us in a way that it sounds like they might be soliciting advice or how to do something, I think we couch it and preface it with that I have an opinion, or I have an answer if you'd like to hear it. Yeah.
Okay, this is good. So just to constrain it a little bit more. So number one, if someone approaches you with a problem, cannot give advice first, cannot offer what you should do. You just sit there and listen, and then when they're done, we can say, if you actually have an opinion, I have an opinion. Yeah. Would you like to hear it? And then we see what happens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'm already one step ahead. Yes, because I did that today. Yes.
Yeah.
And actually, I should tell the story real quick. I was working with a client today, and it's a great client, but sometimes this client's very particular when they work with artists. They get a little project managery and a little telling them how to solve the problem, right? I need this, this, and this, and you should do it this way, this way, this way. And today, and he was having difficulties with an artist, and today I said, I have an opinion. Are you open to hearing an opinion about this? And he said, yes. And I said, okay, well, I think, you should blah, blah, blah. You should let artists be a little more free to come up with their own solutions. I equated it to a costumer. When a costumer gives you a sheet and says, please just tell us the problem, don't tell us how to fix it, right?
Yeah.
And I said, because he actually ended up saying something about this, that, and the other, and I told her to just do this, this, and this, and I said, well, why don't we let her come up with a solution? Because, and I knew a little bit more about the software this artist was using than the client did, I said, because the solution you proposed is impossible in the software that your artist is using. And he went, oh. I went, yeah, so maybe we can try that. And it was a little uncomfortable, but it went well, and I think it went a lot better because I wasn't like, hey, now listen, I got to tell you what you're doing wrong.
Yeah.
It's going to be this. And so I think that's why it went well.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is kind of a soft social skills challenge, but I think we can do it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Be aware. Listen more. Talk less.
You are now watching or listening to the Zen Stuff podcast, where we do Zen stuff, like listen.
It's going to make for a really interesting podcast then next week if we just
I'm just going to nod my head more.
If we listen more.
This is next week's show.
Mm-hmm. The occasional cat in the background.
That's right. I have a sign-off if you would like to hear it.
I would. Lay it on us, Jeff.
I am Jeff, and I am holding a rather strange object that you can only see if you watch the video feed.
I am Adam, and I am enjoying this journey.
I'm Sarah, and my mug says something funny.
All right. Goodbye, Internet.
Goodbye. Oh, I answered for the Internet. Damn it. I should have just listened.
Internet, I have a salutation if you would like to hear it. Internet? All right. Stop being
It's going to make one of those dial-up modem noises. That's how it talks.
Are you just gonna make fart noises now? Is this what our shows become?
Time to say
Gassy.
goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.
Goodbye.
All right, we're off. Oh, that's funny. Okay, we can all stop rolling on post in 3, 2, 1. Stop.